and find out what they saw and what they heard. But for right now, guys, we'll send it back to you.
This has just been an absolutely unbelievable afternoon.
For the victims and several of the other
guys, something's going on. Guys. Guys.
Neil Jones, if you can hear us, we can hear you. What is happening?
Do we have Neil Jones? If we've got Neil Jones, let's go to Neil Jones.
Neil, first of all, be careful. There is clearly something else happening. We all of a sudden saw law enforcement running once again and people scurrying away from another area there that had been seemingly secure. And they are running, and they are, several of them, crying.
Yeah, there isn't. Something else serious is happening.
Guys!
Okay,
yes,
go, Neil, go.
Go ahead, Neil.
Neil, go. All right.
Neil, if you can hear us, go ahead. We hear you.
All right, stay with us here on KCTV5 as we continue to watch what has been an unbelievable day. As many as 8 to 10 people shot outside of the championship celebration. We thought everything appeared to be under control. Now there appears to be another chaotic situation. We're trying to get back in contact with KCTV5's Neil Jones, who's been on the spot this entire time. He was... Okay, all right, hold on here. All right, so let's explain what just happened, folks. We want to apologize for that. What we were watching along with you was a recording of what happened shortly after.
Oh, thank goodness.
Shortly after the shooting happened. So we want to clarify, there has not been an additional shooting. There has not been an additional chaotic situation. We aired in airing video that Neil was recording when the initial shooting happened.
But that shows you
the chaos
that happened at the moment that rally was wrapping up. Neil Jones right down there, right by the stage, and it was just a few minutes before 2 o'clock this afternoon as the rally was ending that the chaos broke out, and Neil Jones was trying to get to us to tell us that something is definitely wrong. That happened more than an hour ago.
Whoever's in the booth.
What you are seeing here now is live still, as the giant police presence still has descended along Grand, along Main Street downtown, and around Pershing there around Union Station.
Running again, and we saw police officers and FBI running west on Pershing toward another situation.
All right, that's they're working through. Jillian, if you can hear us, go ahead and tell us what you're seeing from your vantage point and what's happening around you.
Guys, moments ago, Shane and I were on Pershing walking west, and we saw multiple law enforcement officers running westbound on Pershing. We did not hear sounds, and I'm going to go over to Brad and Carolina for the rest of that report. Bill and Carolina.
Guys, we've got guns drawn. Yeah, we've got guns drawn.
There's guns drawn by several police officers and what looks to be SWAT officers with long guns behind a police cruiser on the west side of the Weston parking lot. A couple of other police cruisers are starting to move in, but again, just in the last few moments, over 24 probably police officers came in. Again, long guns, also sidearms drawn towards what looked to be, I can't see because the carport goes over where it kind of obstructs our view, but again, a lot of attention being paid over to just in front of the Weston Crown Center parking lot, just off of Pershing here to the southeast of Union.
Contact somehow with Bill and Carolina. Can you guys still hear us? Oh, we lost their audio signal anyway, but you can see even just from looking at this scene how widespread this potential crime scene will be or already is as they're drawing around the crime tape. This is going to take a while to figure out exactly who was where when.
Right, and to to say that this is a chaotic situation doesn't even begin to describe what's happening here. It's mass chaos. So many people who tried to get out of a relatively small area, thousands and thousands of people, multiple gunshots, and there is so much going on right now that we're trying to stay on top of this for you and report this as accurately as we can. Bill and Carolina, before we lost their audio, were saying that they had seen officers with guns drawn.
And that's what you're seeing here out in front of the Westin here.
We don't know why, but to Carolyn's point, that's what you're looking at right now. You can see officers who have gathered out there near Union Station. Okay, we have Jillian and Shane now back. Guys, if you can hear me, anything that you're seeing from your location?
Yeah, Brad, as mentioned, we are on Pershing and Broadway, so west of Union Station, the opposite direction of Crown Center. So we saw police officers running west toward another situation. We did not hear any sounds, but we saw multiple law enforcement officers running west on Broadway on Pershing toward Broadway.
Yes, and they were definitely in a hurry, and it looks like they're actually cordoning this area off from us as well right now. We do see police vehicles in the distance. I don't know if you can see our shot right now, but they were running that direction, which I believe is a different area than what Bill and Carolina were describing.
Okay, and thank you, and break in at any moment if anything happens from your vantage point. Just go ahead and take it away from us. Greg Daly of KCTV5 News has just reported that he says our KCTV5 crews at Crown Center are now being told to leave the area. He says, please be safe if you or someone you know is nearby. So we continue to hear reports about police activating and moving to different locations in this area. We'll continue to stay on air with you and for you to report to you what has happened after the Chiefs championship parade. Here we see another ambulance either departing or arriving to the area. But an unreal situation today, and it goes to show you this is why city officials, this is why county officials gather and spend so much time planning these parades to try and consider every possible scenario, every worst possible scenario. And that's why they had up to 900 officers on site there to try and keep people safe.
Yeah, and we are getting confirmation now. As I mentioned, Children's Mercy Hospital has confirmed that they have received some patients. The number is not determined, but University Health also confirming that they have got patients as well. We're going to go to Janae Hancock now. Janae, where are you?
Yeah, we just received update from Westin Hotel. Apparently, we are all sheltering in place right now. What you're taking a look at right now is the Kansas City Police Department. They have their guns drawn, and it looks like they are waiting for someone to leave the parking garage. And they're actually on both sides of the parking garage. A lot of police officers were running in this direction that you're looking at right now, and that's why we kind of moved towards this area. So we're waiting to see who they are waiting for. We also see a lot of the ambulance making their way to this area as well. We've seen several people on stretchers also. So right now we are just waiting for more details, but that is the latest information coming in that Westin Hotel is officially sheltering in place. No one can leave as we wait for more details from the Kansas City Police Department as to why they have their guns drawn. Not sure if anyone, maybe a shooter, the shooter is inside of the hotel, or if they know of anyone else that is inside of the hotel as well. So we are just waiting for more details. But as I continue to look around towards Union Station, Matt, if we can kind of pan towards this area, still taking a look at that tragic scene. So again, this area was filled with so many fans and families that were excited to be here in just an hour ago, maybe not even under an hour. And as you can see here, people left their belongings just sitting on the ground. You can see a tent that looks like a child's tent. Matt, I don't know if you can kind of zoom into that, but they just left their belongings sitting here as a lot of people scattered as those gunshots rang out. And Scott Reese and I were kind of standing to the side of this patio earlier, and we heard those gunshots rang out earlier. And I do want to, Matt, if we can kind of pan over, you can see more ambulance coming in from this side of the Westin Hotel. Again, it looks like they might be making their way to this area where the Kansas City Police Department, they still have their guns drawn out, could be waiting for someone to come out of this parking garage. So again, just a tragic scene that we are seeing here, guys. People are slowly starting to make their way back to this area. Here's another car that is coming out of this parking garage as well. So it looks like they are letting people leave. Let's see if they'll let this guy get out.
Okay, that's Janae Hancock reporting for us live on scene.
So again, we are still waiting for more details to come in. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you, Carolyn and Brad in studio.
Yeah, Janae was waiting there to see if indeed cars are able to leave that Westin Crown Center parking garage. It looks like at least a couple have been able to, but we are being told now that the point of concern has kind of moved now away from Union Station and is now more towards the Crown Center area around the Westin. Folks very concerned that there is something else still brewing in that area.
This is still a very, very chaotic, potentially dangerous situation. This is still a very, very fluid situation down around Union Station, the Crown Center area, that whole area. As you can see, police are on high alert right now. This is not, they're not taking the attitude that this is all clear and let's just go ahead and relax. We have seen a lot of movement with police just within the last few minutes. So still a very, very serious situation in downtown Kansas City. People have been told, those who are on the grounds told to evacuate, but people inside the Westin have been told to shelter in place. And we want to remind you that the people who were originally thought to have taken part or been part of the shooting that happened earlier, that was more than a half hour ago. And 2 people were taken into custody. So clearly there is something happening that police are still on high alert. They are keeping some people in some buildings and have been told to shelter in place. That's why we're still on the air, and that's why our crews are still on the ground, and we're continuing to report what is happening here. But still a very, very serious situation happening in downtown Kansas City right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Of course, all of this happening after the celebration for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes just tweeting out, praying for KC. Obviously not the ending that they were hoping for coming out of what should have been a successful, wonderful celebratory day in Kansas City. Apparently, Mayor Lucas is back now on the scene. He was there for the rally. And the Chief of Police, Stacey Graves, apparently will talk to us, talk to the media, talk to you at home here on KCTV5. Just keep it right here. And as soon as they give us a rundown of what is happening, we'll, of course, bring it to you right here live.
KCTV5, Samantha Boring is live on the ground in that area. Samantha?
Hey, Brad, Carolyn, we're here at Pershing in Broadway on this side of Union Station. As you can see, police and other officers have this area blocked off.
Samantha, unfortunately, we can't hear you when the camera pans off of you, so hang on 1 minute. Samantha, if we can get you back in frame of the camera. We can only hear you when you're looking right into the camera, if you could, to tell us what is happening near you. Oh, no, we have oh, there you go. Can you repeat what you just said? We missed the first part.
Yes, Carolyn, Brad, when we were first getting here, we saw some sheriff's deputies who had some large guns, and they were heading into this building back here towards Crown Center. We weren't told of anything, but it was headed that way, and it seems as if officers are still on high alert over here. We were talking to some people who were nearby when they heard the shots fired. They said they thought it was fireworks going off for the parade. Many of them sharing emotions of being extremely scared and worried about the situation. We saw tons and tons of people walking, and the traffic is still extremely heavy here at Union Station, getting in or out.
Samantha,
Brad, Carolyn.
are you hearing from people trying to leave? Are they Are they nervous, or how are people reacting to this where you are?
I saw a woman in a car crying on our way here, and they were right there, they said, and we saw some younger kids who were over here, and they were talking about, they were just walking by when they heard it all go off. Some people said that they were sitting on the hill when they heard these shots fired. A lot of them just describing it as a scary moment, just especially because this was supposed to be a day of excitement.
All right, we've lost Samantha Boring right now as she was describing the scene there. Our Scott Reese is also on the ground. Scott, if you can hear me, what are you seeing and where are you specifically?
Hey, Brad, I think I lost you here. Hopefully you can hear me, but we're near the corner of Pershing and Main, and you can see the commotion behind me in terms of the police and official vehicles. I count 7 ambulances and I don't know how many police cars, lights blaring. We are across the street. You can see actually our crews still on the rooftop overlooking the scene from the Crown Plaza, which of course is where we were broadcasting during the parade and the rally. So apparently they have been asked to shelter in place up there. We have tried to get closer, and we will continue to do so again. Every time we get too close to the street corner here, we are brushed away and asked to stay back by authorities. So I haven't seen anything new from this vantage point, but if I do, I will certainly keep you posted. Brad?
All right, Scott, thank you. We appreciate that. So you just heard from Scott that people are being told to shelter in place in some buildings around there that are near Union Station. So clearly, we're waiting for word of the elevated attention, the elevated concern that police officers have right now. The scene still very active. This is still an active crime scene right now. As Scott was just mentioning, there's a number of ambulances that are still in the area. The police presence is massive here right now. And then you see in the live shot, you can see people who were at the parade celebration wondering what to do, where to go.
Sure.
Where's my car? We've heard police saying that there is one reunification station that remains open. They had 7 to begin with. There's one that remains open. So if you've heard of anyone who became separated from their families, they are to go to the reunification station at Union Station. That is the one that remains open. But an unbelievable day here in Kansas City to celebrate what had been such a glorious morning, now marred by a tragic shooting.
I do want to kind of recap what exactly you're looking at here if you're just now joining us here on KCTV5. And I'm doing this because our traffic anchor, Julia Avery, was with us earlier talking about parade traffic and so forth. She was done here and said, you know what, I'm going to head on down and at least watch the tail end of this rally. She was on one side of Union Station, left there, walked out, found her car. She said she knew of nothing going on. So there is a distinct possibility that you're arriving back home now unaware that anything had happened after the rally was over, because it happened on sort of that southwest side of the stage. So if you were heading back up Grand or back up Main, you might have not even realized there was a problem, because it was only a certain side that heard what turns out to be now gunfire erupt on one end and then the mass exodus on the one side. So if you are just now joining us, that is indeed what happened. 2 people we had heard reportedly taken into custody by police, and now a large police presence there after at least 8 to 10 people have been hurt by either gunfire or the result of the mass exodus from the gunfire, one way or the other. And now we are kind of shifting our attention to another area right there on the catty corner, the Western Crown Center there. There seems to be another source of concern at the Western Crown Center.
Okay, and we do have breaking news about what's happening right there. Our Janae Hancock is there. Janae?
Yeah, guys, I do want to draw your attention to just outside of the Westin Hotel. Earlier, just a few minutes ago, we saw a lot of police officers kind of drawing their guns out, looking like they were waiting for someone to come out of the parking garage. Well, we just learned that someone has been apprehended inside of that parking garage. Now, if it's a man or a woman, we don't have those details just yet. But what I can tell you is that the scene is now clear here at the Westin Hotel. We just received that information just a few moments ago. Now, Matt, I do want to turn things over back to these hotel room windows where you can see a lot more Chiefs fans have come to their windows waiting for more answers. They probably have their televisions on inside of their rooms, waiting for more answers, waiting for more details. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of them were outside, anxiously waiting to come outside of their hotel rooms earlier this morning. And now they are back in there, fearful and looking for more answers as of right now. One man even has a set of binoculars that he is looking with to see exactly what the scene looks like outside of Union Station, where we just saw thousands of fans here earlier today. So again, we are seeing some families. There was a little girl just waving at us. And again, a lot of people are just waiting for more answers right now. But that's what we can tell you, is that someone was just apprehended inside of this parking garage. But just a terrifying and heartbreaking scene. Again, I want to draw your attention back to the outside of Union Station, where you can see there are a lot of belongings that are still left outside. A lot of people that are still actually standing outside of Union Station as well. But you see paper, you see pom-poms that are on the ground, you see a tent, you see all types of belongings as people were cheering on the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce not too long ago. And the scene has completely changed just within the last few hours. So just a tragic scene out here. We are waiting to learn more details, but that is the good news, is that these people can leave their hotel rooms now that the scene has been cleared here at the Westin Hotel. So another person is in custody. So that's some good news that is coming out of this situation. But for right now, Brad and Carolyn, I'm going to toss it back to you guys in studio.
Yes, thank you so much for that report. There had been so many questions about that, Janae, about what was happening inside there. So yeah, we can tell you, as to Janae's reporting, someone has been apprehended. People who had been told to stay and shelter inside of the Westin have now been told that they can leave. So to what Janae just said, finally a bit of good news.
And the bad news is that we are hearing of up to 10 victims. Severity of injuries has not been confirmed just yet, but we are hearing from our sources with University Health, which is formerly Truman Medical Center, Children's Mercy Hospital, and St. Luke's, that they have all received patients. Again, conditions of which we are not confirming just yet. We do also have KCTV5's Nathan Brennan out at Pershing and West Penway. Nathan, what did you witness? I know you were initially along the parade route in the thick of things.
Well, I tell you what, Carolyn, we actually weren't at the situation when it happened. We'd actually pulled out and we were heading back towards the station when this incident went down. But I want to go ahead and give you a look. So right now we're at the intersection of Pershing and West Penway. And as you guys can see, this is part of what makes this situation so dangerous. Still so much traffic, so much congestion, people unable to get out of the area. And we actually just spoke with a family from St. Joe. They were traveling from St. Joe and they were waiting for all of this traffic to clear out. And they were right in the middle of this. We actually spoke with a grandfather and a grandson who were about 100 feet from the situation, and the grandfather was describing the scene and just saying that he was just hearing pop, 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 hearing those gunshots, grabbing his grandson and just running frantically. And that was the situation that he was describing. I mean, he was just talking about how chaotic the situation was and just everyone just running frantically and cops turning people other ways in different directions. So a very scary situation. Again, you're getting another look here towards Union Station. As you can still see, so many people, so many cars still trying to pull out of this area, which is making this so dangerous. So again, people trying to leave this area. Speaking to some of these families, we actually asked them, they said they didn't want to go on air because they're so shaken up from this situation. So we have families that are traveling from far away that aren't even here in Kansas City, just trying to get home, trying to return to their loved ones as well. But we'll give you more updates again as we start to gather them. We'll toss it back to you guys.
Nathan, thank you so much. Be safe out there, and we just want everyone to get home as quickly as possible from this very, very scary scene. Still, they're all around the entire area of Union Station and to on over to Crown Center and on up really the parade route too. It's time to get everyone out of downtown. We're going to go to Gianni Navarro now for the latest on what you are seeing from where are you right now, Gianni? Right near the corner where it happened, right?
Yeah, Carolyn, unfortunately, near where it happened, I'm on Pershing Road and Kessler Road. We are behind police tape and where all the media is being set up right now. Now, before this, I was actually on the opposite side, but right now you can see a heavy police presence. There is EMS on scene, paramedics, fire here on scene right now. But I was actually on the opposite side on Grand Boulevard because I was covering the parade originally, and I actually made my way over here. While I was making my way over here, I was told I was unsafe, so I made sure that I was in a safe location. I was able to find that. But in the meantime, before I got here, I was talking to a few families, and I was asking them what they experienced. And, you know, some say they heard the pops and the shots, and some others say they didn't, but they just saw everyone running, and it was chaotic, so they just started to follow the crowd and run as well. I spoke to one father and son who said they were just trying to get by Union Station. All of a sudden, they told everyone to shelter, lock the doors, and they were locked into Union Station for a bit before they were released. So, but the main theme here is everyone is kind of somber and upset because today was supposed to be a day about celebration, celebrating our Chiefs and their back-to-back victory, and all of a sudden something like this happened. So everyone says they are saddened by what is happening here, but of course everyone I spoke to was safe. This is definitely a tragic event, but I will definitely let you know any more details as soon as I get them, you guys. Carolyn, back to you for now.
All right, thank you, Gianni.
All right, and we should tell you that we're going to get to Scott in just a second, but Kansas City, Missouri Police will be holding a news conference with Mayor Quinton Lucas in just a few minutes. All right, now we can get back. Sorry about that, Scott. Take it away.
All right, Brad, just a couple of quick updates here. I'm still just across the street from the Crown Plaza and probably 30 yards or so from the reunification point here at Main and Pershing, and everything looks quiet there, and I can confirm it is quiet. I talked to one of the officers, and he said that all families have been reunified, so there's nobody outstanding in terms of family members unaccounted for or anything like that, so that's some good news. I also asked about the incident in terms of apprehending a suspect inside the parking lot here at the Crown Plaza, and he said to me that was a separate thing. So he wouldn't elaborate on exactly what that was as opposed to what might have been going on at Union Station earlier, but apparently we may have multiple incidents here going on simultaneously, guys.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like, Scott. You're right. It's apparently an incident separate from the shooting in front of Union Station, but nevertheless, people are absolutely terrified down in that area. Parade goers who were there, not sure what to think, told to evacuate, and then all of a sudden those who were trying to evacuate, some of them were told to shelter in place again. So it has been a harrowing afternoon, and the reports that are coming out, multiple people hurt, 8 to 10 people hurt, some victims at Children's Mercy Hospital. Mind-numbing to think about that this day started as a celebration of our team that just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was what the day was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a celebratory party for Kansas City, and now no doubt a panic scene and a crime scene that will last for a few more hours at least as they investigate what exactly transpired here, and no doubt will put a black eye on what was to be a bright spot on Kansas City's history.
Well, this is making national, international news right now. This is what's being reported on, not just in Kansas City, but all of the major news outlets around the country now looking at Kansas City, checking out what is happening. And you're right, this is not it's not a good look for this city, especially when the city was it encouraged people to gather and to party as one, to celebrate their Kansas City Chiefs, and it's anything but a celebration now.
By all accounts, was a fabulous day up until just about 2 o'clock. We are now getting towards 3:30, and we understand that Mayor Quinton Lucas, who had been up on that stage celebrating our winning team, will join the police chief of Kansas City, Missouri, here with a news conference, and we will bring that to you just as soon as they get started talking here, because we are anxious this is such a wide scene here, and it has been hard to kind of gather bits and pieces from each corner. And so we are hoping that Chief Stacey Graves can kind of bring it all together for us and kind of at least surmise what has happened and assure us that indeed the scene is safe now.
Well, and that's what, for our viewers at home, as you're watching, I mean, you can tell that there's still crime tape up. There are still such a heavy police presence. We had a shooting incident right after the parade, and then anywhere from 40 to 45 minutes after that, there was another incident across the way inside a hotel where then guests were told to shelter because there was an incident. We're not sure exactly what happened there, but again, we've seen there are still many ambulances on the scene. We have seen officers with guns drawn as of just 20 minutes ago. The scene has calmed down since then, but a massive police presence in downtown Kansas City right now. And so a lot of people just kind of shaking their heads saying, what more? What else is going to happen? This has been an unbelievable day.
Mm-hmm. And they are asking still that everyone, if you know of someone down there, this is not a time to sit and watch and try to see what's happened. It is a time to get on home as safely and quickly as you can. They're also asking that everybody in the Union Station parking garage move out, do not come in there. They need all of that space for all of these emergency vehicles to tend to these potential victims or anyone left there at the scene that they need to deal with. So they're asking basically everyone to move out as quickly but as safely as possible so that they can get a better handle on the expansiveness of this crime scene. It is a big one, but the corner of Union Station that you were just seeing there is where allegedly those initial shots were fired, the ones of great concern that led to the injuries that we're talking of here, between 8 and 10 people injured. Conditions are not confirmed yet. We are hearing unconfirmed conditions on some of these people, but we're waiting to get full confirmation before we bring that to you. But we are hearing that area hospitals, University Health, Children's Mercy, and St. Luke's all have received patients. So it is.
And we're hoping the best for them, for sure.
No doubt
all right,
about it.
Arneal Jones he was very close to the shooting situation when it all went down. We want to check back in with Neil for more reporting. Neil?
Well, this is the spot I was at, actually a little closer in the intersection. We were preparing to go forward and do interviews with fans at the end of the event on stage. It ended. People started walking out. Photographer Greg Malota and I started walking into the intersection, and all of a sudden, like a stream of firecrackers going off. Pop, 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 pop. And people began to run in any direction. This is some video that Greg shot at that moment, and I think it captures the fear in the moms, dads, grandparents' faces as they had young children. They were trying to get their older parents and grandparents out. You had whole families here that had been here all day celebrating a wonderful thing, and suddenly you've got the police rushing in and going in multiple directions because it looked like that there were people fleeing. I don't know if that was true or not. Someone yelled, "There's the shooter," and the police went running off in that direction. I have no idea if that was correct or not, but a bunch of police went one way. Police spread out and began to look at the various people who had been shot, but the crowd was going in all directions, just as you would expect they would do in such a harrowing, horrible moment. Again, what makes it so terrible is there were so many families involved, and you're just trying to get out. Our photographer saw at least 2 people who they were performing CPR on the ground. They also appeared to subdue someone. I heard somebody, and I do not know if it was a police officer, say that man is a suspect. And there were 3 or 4 police officers on him. They got him subdued and took him off in a golf cart. They took one victim off immediately on what looked to be a fire department or a police golf cart that was for situations like this. And then they took them to ambulances that were nearby. The presence here by the police and law enforcement was big all day long, as you would expect when you have a massive crowd in one place. So there were many, many police officers immediately on the scene. Again, you're afraid. You don't know what direction to run. I didn't know. Our photographer, we didn't know which direction to go because we didn't know if there were multiple gunmen or what direction they were going. But eventually, and I don't know if it was 7 or 10 minutes, things began to calm down, but then police officers would race off. They'd be called on a radio and they would go a different direction. I suppose that might have been towards Crown Center to the east. But the end result was just an awful, awful scene at the end of what had been such a joyous day. And now, of course, we know that there are multiple victims. We can only hope that they'll be okay.
Boy, you're right about that, Neil. We want to thank you. And on social media, there is video now that is out there that appears to show fans who are at the parade, fans who are chasing a person down, then tackling that person, holding on to them, and then you see police swoop in and they get down and hold that guy down. Now, we don't know. I don't know what that is in reference to, but the person who posted that said that, fans caught one of the suspects. Wow. That hasn't been confirmed, but the video is there is that they did tackle someone who appeared to be running away from a big crowd, and then Kansas City, Missouri police just jump on this guy and handcuff him. So here's what we want to do. Thank you for staying with us on what was a joyous, a triumphant day, and now has turned into a day of tragedy. Shortly after the Kansas City Chiefs had just wound up their championship
they were
celebration
just
on
singing
stage.
And dancing on stage.
They had just wrapped up. The fans who were there, hundreds of thousands of fans who were there, had just started to begin to leave to when, as our Neil Jones reported, he was 35 yards away from the scene. He thought he heard a string of firecrackers, and then someone else said, no, that's gunshots. Mm-hmm. And he thought he heard anywhere from 15 to 20 gunshots, and then he saw people on the ground, he saw people running, he saw families screaming, kids crying, and then saw immediately first responders then who were performing CPR on at least 2 victims. Ambulances then rushed in. This then turned into a massive crime scene, and then to try and find whoever it was that fired the shots. 2 people have been apprehended. As many as 8 to 10 people have been shot. The victims have been taken to multiple hospitals, including Children's Mercy Hospital. So your heart just sinks when you hear that, because the last thing we want to hear is about young fans. So many children we had seen in this crowd watching their heroes, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and to think that there is a young fan out there who is now being treated for possible wounds because of this, it's mind-numbing.
Yeah, such a sour way to end such a celebratory day. We did talk to people just as they were trying to evacuate quickly. Here's what they had to say.
I was inside Union Station, taking a pic right at the entry doors, taking a picture with a couple of the players, and then I just saw everybody start running. I didn't really, when you see a crowd running, you don't really ask questions. You just start running with them, and then as I was running, I heard a couple shots, and then kind of knew obviously it was serious, so just kept on running, and then we ran downstairs, ran probably 3 stories into the basement or so, into this room, and then they just sheltered us in place, and then we were down there probably, I have no concept of time, probably 30 minutes, an hour, and then someone came down and told us what was going on, told us that we're okay, but we can't leave just yet because everybody was flooding the streets, so the buses couldn't leave yet, and so we all just kind of sat there and waited until we finally got the okay to get going.
So that was the initial pops that you were talking about that led to the apprehension of potentially 2 shooters involved. But then there was a secondary situation that emerged just catty-corner to Union Station over at Weston Crown Center, where there was some sort of disturbance there, and they were also asking everyone in the West End then to shelter in place. That has since been cleared, apparently completely unrelated issue, but very clearly a scary situation for everyone. The almost probably 1 million people converging on downtown for this victory celebration, and to try to get all of those people out of downtown quickly, not an easy task.
Utter chaos, absolute utter chaos. And you could see it on people's faces. You could hear it in their voices. We've seen fans who were hugging, embracing, and crying after this just glad that they had made it out of this thing unscathed. Now, we are waiting for Mayor Quentin Lucas and Kansas City, Missouri Police Chief Stacey Graves, who are going to be holding a news conference here momentarily to try and explain, to try and walk us through what has happened. So we are waiting for that to happen. They are staging that area right now. We have several crews obviously on the scene right now, so we will be bringing that to you just as soon as it happens. But we're just like you watching. We're waiting for answers like you are and reporting on something like this so chaotic, so many different moving pieces. It's been, and the other thing about this, Carolyn, is how this happened. To go from something that was the culmination of such a joyous morning to then all of a sudden people are saying, wait a minute, is that fireworks or gunfire? And that was happening not all that far away from the stage where so many people were, and hundreds of thousands of people in that area.
Well, absolutely. Not to mention the players on the stage, the dignitaries on the stage. We're hearing now, we had heard from Missouri Governor Mike Parson. He, of course, took to the podium there momentarily to congratulate the Chiefs. He has since reported that he is okay. We've also now learned that Kansas Governor Laura Kelly was in attendance as well. She was told to evacuate, and she has now reported back that she is safely out of harm's way at this point. But many people around there, right in that area of the stage when this initially occurred. Again, just seconds before 2 o'clock hit is when that gunfire was reported, and we have since learned 8 to 10 people have been hurt in some way in this shooting. That does not mean that they were all shot, but 8 to 10 people injured in some way during this disturbance. And sadly, we are hearing that some of the patients were taken to Children's Mercy, which confirms our biggest fear that there were children involved. But there were also patients taken to University Health, formerly Truman Medical Center, and St. Luke's Hospital as well.
All right, our Shane Kanicki was talking with a couple of people who saw what happened and heard this.
So when I was leaving, and I don't remember if my other friends were still with me at not at the time because it kind of blurred.
It did.
But when we were heading west, trying to get back and away from it, we saw the police swarm a stairwell, and then we heard another pop from there, and that's when I was like, okay, we're gone.
Time to move. Similar situation.
Same. Yes, I was on the probably to her right. Probably on her right side when everything was going on. And then so we kind of circled back, but then all of the people in FBI and police, they were all like, okay, everybody has to go that way towards Crown Center. And so everybody started going that way, and then everybody's trying to come back because everybody's parked over here. And now that's a crime scene, we can't get in the parking garage.
So everybody's until it's cleared up
and stuck.
Because your cars are still in there.
And as we've mentioned, we had crews for the parade and for that rally stationed all down Grand, basically from the City Market on down to Union Station. Along the way, we had Nijah Hood along the parade route as well. Nijah, what are you seeing at this point, and what did you hear at any point along the way?
Well, guys, it's really, it was a celebratory day turned tragic. We just spoke to multiple witnesses who were there at Union Station as the events unfolded. I just spoke to a family of about 5 or 6 people, one of whom was pregnant, and they are understandably very shaken. One of them was inside Union Station when the incident took place and steps away from the shooter. They told us that they were actually in the room right next to where the shooter was. They were told that the shooter was in the bathroom. They were locked up in the room next door trying to seek shelter. And the first thing they remember was people running and then chaos. They and other witnesses say that they were told by police to hop over a barricade and get away from the scene. I spoke to another witness who actually was inside of a nearby apartment complex, and she says she heard multiple gunshots, and she is traumatized because she actually saw the deceased bodies on the street. And so understandably, she was very emotional. It was hard for her to even speak to us, but just a lot of tragedy happening here outside of Union Station on what was supposed to be a very positive and happy day. And so truly a sad story. We are on the scene working to get you the latest information, and we will continue to update you as we receive new information. Outside of Union Station, Nijah Hood, KCTV5.
All right, Nijah, thank you. And you're right about that. A truly tragic day, and we are learning of some news that we hoped we wouldn't have to report to you.
Yeah, we are hearing now one person is confirmed dead now, 14 in all hurt in this shooting after the parade, including 3 patients in critical condition, 5 in serious condition are the latest reports we're getting. Again, 1 fatality reported now from the scene outside of Union Station just after the Chiefs Victory Parade rally, and 14 injured in all. We were initially hearing 8 to 10.
All right, Mayor Quentin Lucas is talking. Let's listen in.
Unfortunately, we're not hearing audio yet. We're going to keep attempting to hear the very latest from the mayor. He's also to be joined by the police chief, Stacey Graves.
Everyone in Kansas City looking to have a celebration. That celebration was marred by a shooting today. And we recognize that there are some who are injured. We are praying for the safety of everyone. I've talked to a few different folks so far. One, we have spoken to the Kansas City Chiefs, who made clear that their prayers are with everyone who was at the parade today, everyone in Kansas City, and everyone who was touched by this incident. They also noted that their players, coaches, and staff are all accounted for at this point and safe. We, however, know that this is a fluid situation, so all that we are sharing now may change as the hours go ahead. We've also received a call from the White House that offered all federal assistance in the investigation. We had federal agencies present today. We appreciate that, and certainly in the days ahead and the hours ahead, we will make sure we continue to do this work. I will say personally, first, a thank you to the women and men of law enforcement, to the women and men who work with the Kansas City Fire Department and our other agencies. When the shooting started, I, like many others, ran for safety. I saw a number of agencies, including the Kansas City Police Department, officers with guns drawn who were running towards danger. We thank them for that. As I was leaving the scene, I saw members of our Kansas City Fire Department administering aid to folks who were seriously injured without concern for the shootings and the challenges that were near them. This is absolutely a tragedy, the likes of which we would have never expected in Kansas City, and the likes of which we will remember for some time. However, I want to say thank you to those who are making sure that we are safe today, those who are investigating this incident, and those who will continue to make sure that those who committed these acts today are brought to justice. We'll come back for some questions at the end of the Chief's comments, but now the Police Chief, Stacey Graves.
Chief Stacey Graves, Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. At the conclusion of the Chiefs rally today, there were shots fired on the west side of Union Station. Immediately, officers responded to the area, took 2 people into custody, and also immediately rendered life-sustaining aid to those victims. We're still gathering information on the number and the status of victims, but like I said, we know that one of the victims is deceased. We also know that officers ran towards danger. Officers were there to keep everyone safe. I'm angry at what happened today. The people who came to this celebration should expect a safe environment. We had over 800 law enforcement officers, Kansas City and other agencies, at the location to keep everyone safe. Because of bad actors, which were very few, this tragedy occurred, even in the presence of uniformed law enforcement officers, who again ran towards them and took them into custody. To the people who were injured in this tragedy, our hearts go out to you and your families. This investigation is just beginning, and we are working safely to clear all surrounding areas and businesses. This is still an active investigation. We will continue to keep you updated. We will keep you updated on Twitter and most likely a follow-up press availability. Did you have anything? No. One of our victims has been declared deceased. We have. Right now, we have up to 10 to 15 injured by... Yes. Right now, we do not have an exact number of people who were victims of a gunshot wound. It could be upwards from 10 to 15 with one deceased.
Do you know how many are in critical condition at this point?
I do not have conditions on our victims just yet.
Any believed to be children?
I do not believe that any of them were children.
Any law enforcement injured in this? First responders?
Nothing of note.
Chief, what prompted? What do you guys believe now prompted the issue?
That is still under investigation. I myself was outside when I heard the shots fired. It is an ongoing investigation. It's going to take us a little bit to determine exactly what led up to the shooting. I will say, though, we do have 2 suspects in custody.
There are circulating on social media that some fans may have helped contain one of those.
I have heard that as well. I have heard that fans got involved in the apprehension or the pursuit of one of the suspects. I cannot confirm that right now, but that is something that I have heard myself. Yes?
What the response time, because you say 10 to 15 possibly injured in the shooting, but there was 800 officers there. This happened pretty quickly. So can you talk about when this started, sort of a timeline from there to the point where your officers responded to the point where you had KCFD helping to...
Absolutely.
Your first aid?
As soon as the rally concluded, there were shots fired on the west side of Union Station. Officers were on scene in the area. I know one of the suspects was immediately pursued on foot. Like I said, there's 2 suspects in custody. I have heard the information that was just requested. I will confirm or deny that. But after that, immediately officers began rendering life-sustaining aid, calling in fire, which is the fire department, to also assist those victims.
Do you know if there were more than 2 people taken into custody? Because we had 2 people, after you guys had made your announcement, there were 2 people in custody, 2 people live on our air being taken, handcuffed, put into vans. So can you talk about that and the process as this investigation continues?
I don't know exactly the 2 that you're talking about that your camera caught on video being loaded into a wagon. I don't know that, but I can tell you that in and around that scene, it is still active. Not active in necessarily threats, but it's a very active scene. We're still investigating. This is still early on. We still have parties that are walking into hospitals.
Do you know anything about the suspects in terms of where they're from? Are they from?
I do not know that, but that's something that I also will be finding out.
2 questions. We are hearing upwards of maybe 20 shots. Can you talk about the number that you heard?
I'm hearing 10 to 15, possibly 15, with the one that is deceased.
And do you know anything about the timing? It seems odd if it's waited to the very end of the rally.
I don't have anything about, I can't give you an answer on the timing. I can just say that that's when it occurred, and we are investigating what led up to that. Maybe once we get some of those details, we'll know why that happened at that time, but right now it's still too new.
Chief, is it just one incident or multiple incidents that injured more?
That is something that is under investigation.
Mayor Lucas, you talked about how you were on the ground and you yourself had to run for safety. I understand we're still waiting on a timeline, and I'm trying to understand what exactly happened. But we were having a Super Bowl parade, and this is what the country is talking about now. What is your message to this city at a time like this? I second the comments by the chief of police. I'm heartbroken. First of all, I'm praying for the victims and the families impacted. I start with them. I'm incredibly upset, disappointed. I was there with my wife. I was there with my mother. We never would have thought that we, along with Chiefs players, along with fans, hundreds of thousands of people, would be forced to run for our safety today. I think that I'll let the investigation shake out before coming to any further conclusions, but I think the initial response absolutely is anger. You know, we have done a number of these now, and this is a day that a lot of people look forward to, something they remember for a lifetime. And what they shouldn't have to remember is the threat of gun violence, marring a day like this, injuring them and their families. This morning, I was actually thinking about bringing my child, as many people in Kansas City did. And I don't want us to have to, in our country, for every big event, think about a concern of being shot. As the chief noted, We had a lot of law enforcement officers there today. They did exceptional and outstanding work, and I will second that again. Because on your timeline point, I was inside of Union Station. We heard something. A number of us start running, and I see a stream of officers going the exact other direction, in with guns drawn, ready to address danger. And that was the situation throughout. People who responded absolutely immediately. But I wish that we lived in a world where they wouldn't have to do that. I wish we live in a world where we wouldn't have to see incidents like that. But I'm as heartbroken as anybody. We will do a full and thorough investigation. I hope that we bring whoever this is to justice, and we will continue to try to make sure that we can be as safe as possible. However, when you have people who decide to bring guns to events, when you have people who are deciding to try to mar events, celebratory ones like this one, all of us start to become members of this club that none of us want to be a part of, which is those who have experienced mass shootings. I hope for Kansas City this is one of the last times we experience that.
Players in any danger at any point?
What's that? Sorry, go ahead.
In danger at any point?
Was I in danger?
Or any of the players? Chiefs players?
You know what? I think we'll let the investigation take a look at that. The police department responded effectively, I think incredibly quickly, to make sure that people would be out of harm's way. That being said, a number of us had to flee from a situation because we heard a sound of gunshots. So I'll let you answer your own question in terms of whether you think that's something that puts you in danger or not. In my view, anytime shots are nearby, you don't know where they're coming from, you don't know who's firing them and all of that, then perhaps there is a situation of danger. But
thanks, guys. Thank you, guys. We're going to get back inside.
Can I ask a fire question?
Of the 10 to 15 injured, as you say, are all of those gunshots and whatnot, and do you have a sense of how many, or are some of those also critical injury?
We've covered that. We don't have that information.
I just have a fire question. Hold on. 10 to 15 is what we have. Potentially 15. One deceased. I don't have a condition on the other gunshot victims.
Gunshots.
Correct. It's correct.
We don't know how many.
One fire question. No, I do not. Because Chief Graves said there
We're going to have a lot of updates later, guys. We got to go inside and gather this information. I appreciate it.
What are the updates, Jake, later?
All right, you've been listening to a news conference.
I just have one thing to say. This is not Kansas City. I'm angered by what happened, but I want you to know that the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and all the law enforcement officers that were there today, that were serving and protecting, did the best that they could, and I'm so proud of them that they ran into danger, getting 2 people into custody, and at the same time rendering life-sustaining aid to those victims. We were here for a safe celebration, and because of 2 bad actors or more is why we're standing here today. We will recover as a city. My heart goes out to our victim who is deceased, but your police department stands ready, and we are invested in the safety and betterment of Kansas City. Thank you.
Visibly upset, Police Chief Stacey Graves saying this is not Kansas City, as she just briefed us on what happened earlier right after the parade celebration.